What do you get when two flagships go up against each other? Broken flags, sinking ships? This is Sony's latest WH-1000 XM5 taking on Bose's noise-cancelling headphones 700. Goedendag, weer WH-1000 doing headphone research made easy. Let's get the similarities out of the way first. Number one, the design idea of both these headphones is pretty much the same. Sure, they use different materials, plastic on the Sony and a stainless steel on the headband of the Bose 700, but both are A, not foldable, B, use a combination of touch and buttons, and C, have a telescoping headband for adjustment. And Sony, having followed the Bose, we can see where the inspiration comes from, down to the magnetic compartment in the case.
And number two, both of these headphones are great for you work from homers and multi-device owners, since they can connect to two devices at once and, in our opinion, get the job done. In their respective apps, you can even switch the connections between all your paired devices. You might have some Bluetooth connectivity hiccups, but that's got more to do with the current state of Bluetooth rather than the headphones specifically. Now, as to where there's a significant difference and what might affect your purchase decision, here's the lowdown. As shocking as it may seem, there's almost a $150 difference between the Sony and Bose, Sony being the more expensive one. Another important difference, it's almost impossible to find Bose headphones on offer, whereas the Sony, the chances are much higher. Good news, the Bose are currently on offer, so keep an eye out on the links in the description. Let us ease that price shock by telling you that Bose's current flagship was released 3 years ago in 2019. Yes, 2019. You know, before the whole work from home, oh no, I need headphones now, period. Since the Sony was released in 2022, you'll easily be able to enjoy the flagship status for another 2 years, easy.
But do they feel easy on those auditory organs of ours? Although the Bose is just 4 grams heavier, the Sony seems so much lighter in weight and lighter in clamping force compared to the Bose. The comfort is phenomenal when you're A/B testing the two side by side. In case you wanted to know how they do in terms of heat management, well, we tested that too. Bose heated up to a temperature of around 29 or 30 degrees Celsius after about 30 or 40 minutes of wearing it in 27-degree room temperature. The Sony, on the other hand, felt a little bit cooler and was a degree or two lower. In terms of overall build quality, they're both solid devices and don't feel like they'll fall apart easily. Obviously, we've had the Bose a lot longer than the Sony, which is quite new. The age, the color, and the telescoping headband design all have led to some damage on those stainless steel stems of the Bose. But the premium materials also ensure that there's not much creak in the bodies, a thing brutally underrated when it comes to audio products. The Sony, albeit built without any visible metal, felt perfectly durable with no creaking or wear and tear so far. And because the headband doesn't have stainless steel, the amount of flex is unparalleled and also very creak-free. And yes, similar to our human bodies, the more flexibility you have, the less chance you have for injuries.
Moving to design, whether you're apathetic towards the look of your headphones or, like us, you feel somewhat attached to those cups that cushion those soft ears for hours and hours every day, let us tell you about the different versions you can get. The Bose comes in your standard silver or black. We just have the boring silver here, but you can sometimes even find them in soapstone or blue or black and gold. We're sure we forgot some other colors they're available in, but if you have the Bose in an exotic color, comment down below. The Sony is for those apathetic few of you. Go and enjoy it in either a boring silver or black. We have it in, you guessed it, boring silver, which isn't even really silver, but more like a beige. But who knows, just like the previous XM4s, you might be able to get them in blue or a limited edition white.
From scratching the surface to surfacing the scratch. Yeah, we need help with our segues. Yeah, battery life. Pretty massive difference here. With ANC on full, the Sony can last 30 hours and the Bose 20 hours. Crunching some numbers, we take the 30 minus the 20, then divide by 20 and then multiply by 100. So yeah, that means Sony can last 50% longer on a single charge. Subscribe for more in-depth mathematical testing here on WH-1000. doing headphone reviews with mathematical exactness. The Bose charges to full in 2.5 hours and the Sony in 3.5 hours. Takes longer, but as we've mathematically proven, it also has a bigger battery. Both do have quick charge. Bose can get you 3.5 hours of playback with 15 minutes of charge, but the Sony, get this, can do 3 hours of playback with 3 minutes of charge. Yes, 3 minutes. It obviously matters what kind of power delivery adapter you use. Despite both Sony and Bose being able to play back audio while turned off, the cable they use is different. Sony, keeping with the times, have stuck to their 3.5 to 3.5 millimeter audio cable. Good guy Sony. But for whatever reason, it wasn't enough for Bose to stand out with offbeat colors. It's still trying to support a 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter audio cable. We exaggerate, of course. This isn't such a huge deal, but the few of you who will end up using these wired and have standard cables lying around, just be aware of this. And finally, a win for Bose for making a UC variant of their 700 model. UC stands for Unified Communications. This model comes with a USB dongle and will allow your headphones to have a more stable connection for when you make those work calls on Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet. Do note, they are more expensive than the regular 700 version. We haven't tested the UC variant yet, but didn't face any weird connectivity issues with the regular 700 either. And while on the subject of calls, let's go take a walk.
Here we are on a walk. Let's test the microphone quality on the Sony WH-1000 XM5 and compare it to the Bose 700. Right now I'm in a pretty quiet space. A few bikes passing by, nothing special. So this is kind of a good simulation for a relatively quiet environment, but it's still outside with a little bit of breeze. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. And now this is the Bose with a pretty quiet environment around me. There's no traffic. There's a bit of traffic in the street well behind me, but you can't really see it, or I hope you can't really hear it. So this should be a good test for the quiet conditions, which is kind of also a realistic condition, not a studio. So pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have some cars passing by, and you're using the microphone from the Sony WH-1000 XM5. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Could you hear my voice? And did the cars affect the quality of my voice? And now the Bose 700 with cars passing by. So this is a test for kind of noisy conditions outside. How is my voice? Is it clear? Can you hear my voice over the cars? Can you even hear the cars? Because I can. And that's interesting. In some tests, I noticed that you can't hear the cars at all, but I can. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. So this is kind of artificial wind with the Dyson fan that I have here. Let's go. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. And now with the Sony. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. What do you think?
In our everyday use, both of these have never disappointed. The Sony XM5 has taken a huge jump ahead from its predecessor in terms of clear microphones. But Bose had this thing figured out. So although that's good for Sony, Bose has been carrying our voices clearly to the other end since 2019. What we will say is that the Sony has the Bose beat in windy conditions. On the other hand, Bose also gives you specific features for calling, like adjusting how much you hear your voice, called self voice. You also get the ability to mute your calls without having to take your phone out of your pocket. The basic Fachmann controls of volume, answer or hang up are available on the Sony as well as the Bose. And while on extra features, Bose has a voice that speaks to us. But no, it isn't a spiritual connection, but a technological one. This voice speaks out which device you're connected to. This is such a nice touch compared to the cryptic beeps you hear on the Sony. Sony does have a sensor in the left ear cup, which means Sony knows when you've taken off the headphones, helping it enable nifty features like pausing your audio automatically or switching an active phone call to the phone. No such thing on the Bose. The app on both the headphones is pretty solid. The Bose Music app is a bit cleaner and easier to navigate around, whereas Sony's Headphone Connect app is bursting at the seams with options and choices. You get finer control over your sound. We'll get to the sound in a bit, and so many noise cancelling options that you may just have to cancel the noise these choices create in your head.
About that noise cancelling, why don't you use your own ears to determine which one does better? We'll see you on the other side. Headphones are recommended to hear the finer nuances. We think that Sony's noise cancelling bests the Bose, but there's a big caveat. A couple of people we've been talking to and some Reddit threads we've been talking to all seem to point to the fact that Sony automatically switches between high and normal noise cancelling depending on the noise around you. This is pretty stupid if you ask us. Considering the deluge of options Sony lets you customize, how could they have missed this one? And again, we've almost never experienced that the ANC on the Sony was bad, but this automatic AI enabled thing needs to stop. And no, we're not talking about the adaptive noise cancelling or any of the options. What we're talking about here is not tweakable in the app. But if everything works okay, these should beat the Bose, and they do for us in all situations. But here's the thing, the Bose is also pretty good. It's not S tier anymore, but it's definitely A plus tier for noise cancelling, and they're definitely not $150 worse. Where the difference is more apparent is in the transparency or ambient mode. Bose sounds okay, but is largely muffled and does not stack up to the Sony WH-1000 XM5. This is a big deal if you want to listen to your environment with your headphones on. On the other hand, if you want to listen to your environment, why do you have your headphones on? Either way, Bose's age is showing in this particular facet of the 700. As said before, Sony has options to automatically change your ANC depending on where you are, what you're doing, if you're talking, which cup you're covering. Just way too many to keep track. Bose has an elegant solution of just pressing down a button to automatically pause your music and enable full ambient mode if you need to. And that brings us to sound. We'll leave full binaural recordings of 5 different genres of music using the Sony and Bose over Android and iPhone, so you can experience these for yourselves. But here's our conclusion. These are kind of 2 different approaches to sound. We would call the Bose more restrained and balanced, and the Sony more punchy and dynamic. Sony also has much more bass than the Bose.
Bose's bass never really goes so far that it overshadows everything else, but Sony's does that and more. On the LDAC codec, which the Sony can use on Android devices, the higher resolution becomes more apparent, so there is a tiny bit more detail squeezed out in the higher frequencies. Conversely, the soundstage on the Bose is much wider on iPhone than it is on Android. This was using Apple Music. We also tested with Tidal and Apple Music on Android. Somehow we preferred how the Bose sounded on the iPhone over the Android. It's not a very big difference, but this might be important in case you're an iPhone owner. Also, in terms of volume, Bose is way louder on an iPhone. It's a difficult choice, but which one you will prefer really comes down to what kind of sound you're into and which device you use. Sony has the edge when it comes to customization though, so even if you don't like the sound too much, you can always tweak it. The Bose's EQ settings are more limited.
Like we've said in videos before, the choice between the Sony WH-1000 XM5 and the Bose 700 is a choice between smart and simple, but whichever one you choose, these are amongst the very best for wireless noise cancelling headphones on the market today, and you really can't go wrong with either. The Bose does a few things but does them quite well. The Sony on the other hand does a lot of things and does them quite well too, and it has a lot of smarts. If money were no object, we would personally pick the Sony every time, considering especially that this time they've made a lot of improvements over the previous generation. But money is very much an object, and the Bose, despite its age, shows how good a product it is, that it can still hold up in this day and age. Hopefully we've given you enough information to make that choice. Sound samples coming up. You've been agonizing and we've been DHRME. Namaste.
Way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause I was being next to you. Way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause all I needed was my friend. Way back when, way back when, way back when, way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause I was being next to you. Way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause all I needed was my friend. Way back when, way back when, way back when. back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause I was being next to you. Way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause all